What is up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the East Coast Rams podcast. I am Zach, one of your co-hosts here. As you see, Ashton is not back yet. He is actually on vacation. Hope he's having a magical time. But hey, I got Soup in to fill in. He's going to do an awesome job. Soup, how are you doing today?
Man, I'm great. Any day I get to come and talk football, especially Rams football with you guys, it's a great day. I don't know how you let Ashton have the day off though, man. He has to know what time of year this is. There's no vacations allowed during the free agency frenzy.
Hey, he's had 2 days off. He had last week off and this week off. He's gonna have to owe me one starting
That's
next
why
week.
he sounds like a slacker to me.
All right. Well, Ashley, we hope you are getting well rested at the most magical place on earth. But it is time to talk football. And man, I don't remember the last time the Rams had this kind of free agency play right off the jump. Do you, Sue?
I mean, what comes to mind is obviously that 2021 magical run, right, where we had those free agent signings, and I think even you could say the beginning of the McVay era, right? Like Whitworth, I think was a big splash signing. At the time, Sammy Watkins, he wasn't yet all the way cooked, right? We were excited about him. Robert Woods, like everybody, we were feeling really good about that. So I think those are probably like the two times that we felt really, really good about it. And I think, as much as bad as that season turned out, like 2022, signing Bobby Wagner, I was freaking out. I was screaming my head off in my living room. And then Allen Robinson, like I can't tell you how many times I went on a show and was like, Allen Robinson is going to be somebody because he finally gets to play with a real quarterback. I didn't realize that he was cooked and his best days were behind him.
Yeah, I mean, some of those years it was just unfortunate. I mean, you talk about that 2022 season where we went through, 37 different O linemen. We had a firefighter. We pulled people off the streets. It was kind of an ugly. So some of those areas, I feel like it was bad situations that they also got put into. But
Hmm.
but this offseason is really starting to cook pretty hot. Have had a lot of news. We thought the Stafford thing was going to be over. We were going to move on, and we were going to try to get somebody. Maybe we were going to be in conversations for a T Higgins, or someone kind of on that.
Hmm.
But Sean McVay and Les Snead said no, 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 no. If we're gonna move on from Cooper Cup, we're gonna go all in and bring in Davante Adams.
Ooh.
Um, and man, I mean, I didn't see that coming. Obviously, when the discussion was about Rodgers
Hmm.
and Stafford leaving and Rodgers coming, potentially wanting to be a Ram, Davante Adams seemed like that was going to be a package deal. It was going to be both Rodgers and Davante Adams, and that's just how it was going to be. Once that kind of the Rodgers and the Stafford stayed and Rodgers filtered out, did not really expect Davante Adams to be still on the the plate for the Rams' appetite.
I'll be honest with you. I thought if he was going to, because I had seen the reports that he wanted to remain out west, and kind of be home. I honestly thought he was going to the Chargers, bro. I thought for sure. I was like, who needs a wide receiver? I was like, the Chargers need wide receivers, and I was like, Devontae he still got it. Don't get me wrong. He's not as fast as he used to be, right? He's definitely lost a step in the speed department. But when it comes to his release off the line and the route runners and the cuts, like and the hands, like he's still very much got all of that.
Hmm. For sure. I mean, he's 32 years old. He was in the league, so he's 1 year. Let's just compare it to the Cooper Cup situation. He's 1 year older
Hmm.
than Cooper Cup, but he also has had 3 more years of experience in the NFL than Cooper Cup has. He was drafted in 2014. Um, so, what do you expect his role to be with the Rams? Because obviously, he's not playing the Cooper Cup role.
No.
Um, that would probably be more of the Puka or more of Jordan Whittington to play the Cooper Cup role. How do you think the Rams are going to take uh, Devonte Adam and really utilize him to the fullest?
I think we're going to see Devontae really utilized closer to what we saw Odell being utilized back in the 21 season. I think you're because again, he's not a guy that can take the top off, but if you are not quick on your line or you don't jam him coming off the line, right? Like he still has enough to get by you with how quick his release is. So I think we're going to get him on a couple of those Demarcus Robinson like streak routes, right? He's going to get a couple of those, but I really see him kind of sitting down, playing underneath in the slot, the mid range, the mid like short to mid range catches, and then taking it after the catch. I also think we're going to see a lot of Davante in the red zone. Um, I know I've seen the past couple of times that we matched up against Davante, particularly when he was in the Green Bay Packers. And I remember vividly having Jalen Ramsey on the team and us having to cover him and just watching his footwork in those goal to go situations. He is a tough person to cover. And I want to believe that, we do have the right people on the offensive line that could give Matthew Stafford the half a second that he needs to get the ball to Davante. So I think heavy red zone usage. And like I said, the Odell type packages, we're going to see him in those short routes and underneath.
Yeah, I agree. I think this is exactly, exactly agree with you. I think referencing to OBJ is perfect. I think that's what they also want this to be what they wanted Allen Robinson to be as
Mm-hmm.
well. He's also going to be used as kind of that decoy to kind of help Puka be able to, still get his catches. So, you really have a dual threat at that spot. Not saying Cooper Kupp wasn't a dual threat in there. It just seemed like that offensive wide receiver core was just flattening out, and it was either Puka or nobody.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think really bringing in Davante Adams does bring out that extra oomph that the Rams really need and be that explosive offense that they were in 2021 and really back to 2017 in 2018 when they were really firing on all cylinders on that offense. Sean McVay wants to get back to an explosive offense.
Something it just kind of came to mind. Like, do we really think that Davante Adams is that much slower or slower than Van Jefferson?
I wouldn't think so. I think Davante Adams. I mean, I assume he stays pretty well trained and he could be a speedster.
Yeah, well, and that's what I was thinking too. If you remember, opening was it week 1, Bears, SoFi, and you remember
Yep.
that beautiful bomb down the right side to Van. That's how we started off the Matthew Stafford era in LA. And I was like, oh yeah, I think what they envisioned Allen Robinson being, who they had hoped that Van would turn into with a combination of the OBJ package, I think that's what the plan is for Davante. Because the one thing that Davante isn't really known for is blocking, right? Like that's the one thing that if you're thinking that Davante Adams is going to be Cooper Kupp out there and turn into a quasi tight end, that is not his deal. That's not to say that he's not going to buy into the Rams philosophy, but I don't think Sean McVay and Mike LaFleur are planning on utilizing him like that.
Yeah, no, I think you're right on that point. Yeah, I just, you know, I really do think that this just gives like as much as I'm really terrible that we're going to be losing Cooper Cup in the next couple days, he
Mhm.
will be released. It's very doubtful now that he will be traded away and the Rams will receive some sort of compensation for it. But Davante Adams, I feel like, is that one player that was in free agency that you can kind of, put the band-aid over the hole in your heart that Cooper Cup's not going to be a Ram
Mhm.
anymore. And I completely agree with you. I think they're going to find ways to utilize him that they haven't been able to utilize a player in some time. And I'm really looking forward to it. I'm really looking forward to seeing Sean McVay being able to just play with his, his toys again and being able
Yes.
to kind of scheme out um, an offense, having a fully healthy Tyler Higbee and maybe bringing in somebody else to help Higbee in that matter. Having Puka Nakua, having Davante Adams, and then sprinkling in, the Jordan Whittington, and now bringing back uh, Tutu Atwell as a speedster. I really think the Rams are really trying to get creative again, and that's something that I think has been missing, especially since the 2021 season.
And I'm glad that you mentioned the Tutu signing, right? Because I think I can't be the only one that was maybe a little bit surprised that Tutu was coming back, and not like
Oh yeah,
didn't want to see Tutu back. I'm happy that he's back because when he's been on the field, he's done everything that we've asked him to do, right? Like
sure.
he can't control his size. He is what he is, but in terms of running the routes, being physical, playing as big as he possibly can, he's done that, and he's come up in some critical moments for us. And I think any reasonable fan that watches him play that can get over the loss of us not drafting Creed Humphrey instead of him, I think you realize, like, man, he's a valuable receiver. We are just he's underutilized in this offense. What I'm hoping him re-signing, even though it's only for a year, I'm hoping it's McVay saying, hey, you know what? I'm gonna find a way to get the most out of Tutu and find out, does he really have a future here with the Rams? I don't want to commit to him long term, but I need to see if it's a fit for me, if he's, if this is going to be a fit for him. Can he help execute the vision that I have in my head? I think when I think of him, I think Deshaun Jackson role, 2021, before he became dissatisfied with his touches, right? You need that person that's going to be able to stretch the field. I'm hoping that we're going to see the return of the jet sweep. Don't get me wrong, I love seeing Puka barreling over people. You don't need to have Puka running jet sweeps when you've got Tutu Atwell on there. I get it. It got called back on some BS, the first time that we ran it. But, man, Tutu Atwell in the jet sweep package, I'd love to see that. Love to see him shifty underneath. I'd love to see him get behind people. Like, he has really, really strong, aggressive hands, and he has the speed to get by people. So, surprise re-sign, not mad about it.
Yeah, I think 100%. I mean, I think we were all shocked. I mean, because when you look at it, Sean McVay has not, like you said, he has not been utilized at all. He's a smaller frame, smaller body. I know he puts in the work. He's a speedster. I get it. He doesn't have that block capability that Puka has, or that Cooper Kupp had, and things like that. But he has always, when he has been put out there and he has been utilized, he has been a weapon for the Rams. He has been consistent in his catches. It's very unfrequent that he would make a drop. It's just been more of how he's been utilized. And he's been in the shadow of Puka Nacua. He's been in the shadow of Cooper Kupp. Will he still be in the shadow now that we have Davante Adams? Time will tell. But I think now the Rams are trying to say, all right, we can't just focus anymore on feeding Cooper Kupp, which I feel like we have been doing.
Yes.
We need to start moving the ball around. Puka may get a few less carry or a few less targets, but we really need to try to use the whole field and give Stafford the best opportunity, not the only opportunity.
Yeah, agreed.
But I'm happy for him. I've been a big Tutu supporter since the get-go. I still say he was robbed on that Bengals drive when he got that touchdown. I was there in person. I saw it. He was a touchdown.
It was a touchdown.
That is the bogus call that probably could have cost us the game. The momentum. I should stop talking
it's
about
disgusting. Yeah.
So Tutu, he was one of our reclaims that we kept from the free agency draft. Some of the other ones that we kept around, Dylan McHowen, a center, we kept him. Jimmy G, we were bringing Jimmy Garoppolo back on a 1-year deal.
I like that a lot.
Team friendly.
Like Jimmy G back in the horns. We talked about it the last time I was on, man. Like when he got to come in, was at week 18, week 19, something like that. Like the offense was moving with him, and that was without the starters in there. So I feel more at ease with him under center in the event that Matt goes down. That in the interim, he'll give us enough play that we can win some games and stay in contention.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, he's probably the top 2, top 3 backup quarterbacks in the league. And so he's one of the only quarterbacks that I would trust to take over if something did happen to Stafford. And I think that we could still be successful in running a solid offense. So it was a very friendly deal. It was came out that it was an $11 million deal. Only 4.5 is hit by the cap. The rest of it is all via incentives. So bringing him back was very, very positive. We already did mention Tutu Atwell. That was a $10 million deal. That is fully guaranteed. So that is a bigger hit. And then we also mentioned Davante Adams, just talking about his salary real quick. His cap hit for 2025 is very good. It's only a $14 million cap hit. The bigger part of the contract comes in 2026, where it'd be a $30 million cap hit. So go ahead.
I was saying, I think everybody was saying it's kind of structured like a 1-year deal. and then we'll see what happens. The Tutu deal, like I said, in addition to it surprising me, I did think I was like, that's a little rich. It's a little rich. I mean, hey, get your money, young man. I'm not mad at you. But at the same time, right before we came on tonight, former Los Angeles Rams Demarcus Robinson signs with the enemy, the San Francisco 49ers, for 2 years, $9.5 million. And I was like, they got 2 years for less than what we paid Tutu for one. Make it make sense. So it made me feel less good about the Tutu deal. But then again, right, the money's not coming out of my pocket. Stan Kroenke's got those deep ones. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah. Man, that's crazy. I did not hear about the Demarcus Robinson thing, man.
Yeah, I guess he heard Les Snead's comment, because I did see on Instagram he had made a post talk about sign me, and then if you had watched Les's press conference, he said, "Hey, we love DeMarcus, but he's got some pending legal stuff that could keep him out of action. So we appreciate his services." Just the way that they talked about it, you could tell we weren't going to re-sign him. So if this to me feels personal, he's like, "All right, then fine, whatever. I'm gonna go to San Francisco."
Yeah, well, that's interesting. Well, hopefully that we will break his
playoff streak.
His playoff streak by doing that. Obviously, that's disappointing. I did like DeMarcus Robinson.
Liked him a lot.
But so we must move on. Like I said, there's only there's only 3 wide receivers on the field, and we already have so many good ones that it is going to be hard. It was going to be hard to bring DeMarcus Robinson back in general as it was. So. Let's see. So, and the only other Ram that we did end up bringing back was Alaric Jackson, which I think was a staple. Definitely coincided with the Matthew Stafford deal. I think you have to have your left tackle signed to protect Matthew Stafford with all you got. And I do think Alaric Jackson is that person who can keep him safe.
Yeah, I like Alaric. I've been rooting for us to re-sign him. I wanted us to re-sign him last year. I was glad that we were able to coax him to come back and basically do another prove it deal for us. But I'm glad that we got him his money. I think he's earned it, right? Undrafted, walk on, and he's been super solid for us. Has he been the best left tackle in the league? No, but he grades out more towards the upper tier than he does from the bottom tier of left tackles. You could do a lot worse than Alaric Jackson, and I still think that his best football is in front of him.
Yep, for sure. A couple of departures. We've already talked about Jonah Jackson in the past. Michael Hoyt. He was kind of probably the more surprising sign, where he signed with the Bills for a 3-year deal with an estimated, $21 million money over the next 3 years. So he got a pretty nice little pay bump to go off and play with the Bills.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I don't understand the Bills, man. The GM gets out and makes all those comments about that he doesn't want to build anything like the Rams, and yet you just keep taking our leftovers.
Keep taking them. Keep taking them. And again, I liked Michael Hoyt. Was he the best defender on the Rams? No, but he was very consistent in his play. When they needed a leader to kind of step up, he was there. Came from pretty much an undrafted to making
Special
it and
teams.
being a special teams person, and then getting on the defense and kind of help building building that defense when you lose people like Ernest Jones, when you lose people like Aaron Donald, to kind of help keep that cohesiveness. And I think his legacy will move on in these young Rams for sure.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it's another person you hate to see him in a different uniform, because I just feel like he embodied so much about what's right with this team, I think he really enjoyed playing for the Rams. I think he really loved being a part of LA. He's going to be cemented in LA history forever, getting that big sack and throwing up to LA. Like that's a moment in time, right? I think I've seen pins of that. I've seen photos of that. Like it's a thing now. So he's going to be forever LA. I wish him well. I wish him success, but not too much success, because I need the Lombardi, not him. But yeah, man, shout out to him. Thanks for your services, Michael Hoyt.
Yep. Other departures, we moved on from Trey Tomlinson just with injuries and the lack of productivity that we had. We had to move on from him. He is now with the 49ers as well.
Mm.
And we also departed with Bobby Brown III. He was kind of vocal over the last several weeks about, understanding that the Rams, wanted him to play one way, but he thought he was more versatile than kind of what the Rams were scheming him into be. So he is now with the Panthers, but to kind of replace Bobby Brown, the Rams do bring over Poona Ford from the Chargers. How do you feel about this move?
Of all of our free agent signings, there wasn't one that I disliked, but this was the one that kind of had me scratching my head the most because, and I get the situation with Bobby being um, a bit vocal on social media, right? Feeling like he's underutilized in our system in the defensive scheme that we run, and him wanting an opportunity to showcase that he can be more than just a run stopping, defensive tackle. Um, but Poona Ford is he's a very solid player, very stout against the run, massive, like a massive human being. But when I look at those contracts, I look at what Bobby Brown got and I look at what we paid Poona Ford, and then I look at the age difference and it's like, man, I feel like I maybe we should have done something with that relationship with Bobby Brown. I would have felt better giving him the Poona Ford contract because I think he has the higher upside just because of the youth that he has and the familiarity that he already has playing, within this team and with those guys on the line. Like they already have a certain chemistry. And I thought, he showed a lot of flashes this year more than anything. And I get the first part of his career when we brought him on, he was injured. He was working through some stuff. But I thought this last year, he really showed what he could be. Again, I feel like this move wasn't necessarily so much about scheme fit with him. I think part of him being vocal kind of led to his dismissal and just him not being a happy camper with it. Another guy, like super, super fun guy, super down to earth. If you ever interacted with him, if you ever had a chance to, watch any of his interviews, like he's a super solid guy. But Poona Ford, like I'm excited for him. I've been watching tape on him all day since we acquired him yesterday. I'm excited to potentially not see Saquon run all over us next year. That's what I'm excited for. So happy that Poona's here. I think it's a good fit. It's a good replacement. And again, it's one of those things you just got to trust that Sean and he knows what he's doing.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, it's definitely they're definitely filling the role of they need to stop the run. They got to stop that run, and that's what Poona Ford is really kind of being targeted to do. Not saying he can't be a pass defender too, but it's really going or a pass rusher, but he's really going to really help stop that run. 5'11", 310 pounds. He's a big dude, and I'm excited to see what they can do. Obviously, I still think the Rams are one or two pieces away from that defensive side of things. They need to look at an inside linebacker, and they also kind of need to look at that cornerback room as well, and kind of figure out what they're going to do because we still don't know. Are they going to bring back Witherspoon? What other characters are out there that they could bring in to kind of help solidify that? Are they going to look through the draft? Things like that. So definitely something that we're going to have to keep our eyes out on. But
I agree.
But I just feel like in the really in the first like 4 days, 3 to 4 days of this free agency period, the Rams have done a lot
Yes.
than they've done in years, and it's kind of exciting. It makes them part of the conversation, and I think they've been that way since since they lost to the Eagles. They've kind of again been that voice in the back of everyone's head, like you got to keep an eye on them. And this is why you pick up players like Davante Adams, you pick up players like Poona Ford, you keep Alaric Jackson and Tutu, and even Jimmy G is I think an importance to what this Rams want to do for the 2025 season. And I do think this is going to be another all-in season like it was in 2021.
That's exactly how I'm feeling, man. Especially, I know we haven't mentioned him yet, but we did re-sign Coleman Shelton, and I like that a lot. I didn't love the fact that we moved off of him. I was a little bit nervous about the plan to move Steve Avila, especially because he had done so well at left guard, and we saw how that unfolded this season. Lucky for us, I feel like we hit really solid on Bo Limmer. I feel like Coleman Shelton probably will be competing for the starting position, just the way that his contract is structured. But I thought Bo did an excellent job, and I would feel good with either one of those guys being the starting center. And if one of them goes down, I feel good about the next man up. Feel a lot better about the interior of our offensive line now, and what we have behind those guys. And I know we'll probably look to add a few more pieces there in the draft, but this has those feelings, Zach. I'm glad, as you said, this feels like another all-in season. This feels like a season that you really need to pay attention to what the Rams are doing, and don't ever count them out of anything, because I feel like they're in on everything, even when you don't think that they're going to be in on everything. I'm actually looking forward to the trade deadline this year, because I do think, depending on how the beginning of the season is going, they're probably still going to be a few pieces away, and I expect them to be hyper aggressive and making sure that they can shore up those positions to go compete for a championship this year.
Yeah, and the Rams, the Rams seem to be throwing out money in this free agency, but again, like kind of how I broke those down a little bit, they're paying them a little bit in 2025, so that we still don't know what Stafford's restructured contract looks like and how much he's actually going to get paid. But I again, going back to that, infamous or not done yet, they're not done yet. Obviously, we're I'm going to put up from the comments, draft a middle linebacker and more O linemen. They have that capability now. They have that capability of doing that to the draft, or trying to pick up, somebody else from free agency to help fill in that depth. Yeah, I can't agree that I think they got a lot to go, but they're going to be amazing in the draft. They always are. They got 3 6th-round picks currently. They still have their first, unless they decide to trade back for that. Yeah, I think this is just, it's going to look very, very different this year than it has the last couple of years, and I'm super excited about it.
Definitely.
Deuce, you say a decent Cup trade. It's really doubtful that that's even going to happen. I mean, there's just about as good of a chance as him being re-signed with the Rams than there is that he's going to be traded. It's not looking good. Do feel like he's going to get cut, which just feels kind of heartbreaking to think about. But everyone knows that was what was going to happen, that he's going to be released. So why trade something away when you could pick him up probably for cheap afterwards?
Yep. And that's especially because you got to think about how his contract is structured. Anybody trading for Cooper Kupp has got to trade for that contract. Where versus if we cut him, now they have the ability to rework a contract with him, whatever team picks him up. It is not the gracious send off that I think Cooper Kupp deserves from the Rams. But again, like, this is a business. Not everybody gets to ride off into the sunset. Your favorite players are probably not going to be treated as well going out the door as they were coming in the door. That's just the nature of the beast. I hate it. And I don't believe, like I said, I don't believe that there's really any animosity there between them. I think this is just strictly a business thing where Cooper still feels like he still has good football in him. And you being an elite athlete, I think you need to have that dog in you where you still believe, hey, I'm one of the best out here on the grass. But I think we've all seen it. Cooper's best days are behind him. He hasn't been able to put together a healthy season since 2021. And even before 2021, we hadn't got an entire healthy season out of him. Like, it's just one of those things where when you're looking at the end of the career of Matthew Stafford, and that's really what these moves are about. It is about Matthew Stafford's last few years playing football, whether that's 1, 2, or 3, right? What gives us the best chance to hoist the Lombardi with him as our quarterback? As much as we all love Cooper, as much as we remember the 2021 season, that's forever going to be magical to us. He is not that guy anymore. He's now reached the port in football that it's hard for any professional, but it's for any professional that's played it, is you spend your whole time trying to get your mind to catch up to the game. And most of the time, by the time your mind catches up to the speed of the game and really learning all the ins and outs and all the nuances, that is right when your body starts to give off. So when you're coming in, hey, your body, all the physicality is making up for the lack of processing in your head, and then it reverses towards the end of your career. And I think that's just where Cooper Kupp is. He's always been really, really heady and smart when it comes to this game, but his body is just finally saying, "Hey, I can't do this the way that you do this anymore." I hope he lands someplace where he gets to compete still, just because he is a natural born competitor. But yeah, I don't see him returning to the Rams. Not at least not to start the season. That could be something. Who knows? We get to the trade deadline. Let's see where he ends up. Maybe they release him ahead of time and we welcome him back, depending on what our wide receiver room looks like. But I just don't think that that's the likely case here. I think Cooper Kupp and the Rams chapter is done.
Yeah, I mean it's definitely heartbreaking. Just because, like you said, it's Cooper Cup, but this has happened time and time again. You go back and you look at the St. Louis Rams days. Kurt Warner moved on and was with
Sick.
Arizona. Isaac Bruce went on. Torrey Holt went on to another team for a short run. Again, it's the
Orlando
nature of
Pace.
the business. Orlando Pace, yeah, like it's the nature of the beast when it comes to these kinds of moves. Not everyone can live an Aaron Donald life
No.
where he's with the whole team. For his whole existence and retires as a Ram. Like that's what we all wanted for Cooper Cup. Obviously, he doesn't want that because he doesn't want an early retirement. He still thinks he has lot left in him. But the Rams need to focus on winning championships, and unfortunately, they don't have it. I do think kind of looking at that Cooper Cup article that was in the LA Times, it did seem like he was hurt at first. He didn't really quite understand why. But I think after time, he's starting to process it. He's still understanding. He's still working out with, it
Mm-hmm.
seems like half the team plus Whitworth plus McVay, apparently.
Yeah.
So like they're still hanging out. I just think there was probably that initial shock, like,
Yeah. When I said, there's no animosity, like I said, it wasn't because something went wrong in the relationship. Yeah, he was hurt. And I think you pointed out that LA Times article. Yeah, it's clear that he was hurt. Heck, when he posted it on Twitter and his Instagram that he was leaving, like he said he doesn't agree with it. That guy's hurt. And I understand exactly why he would be hurt. He always thought it was going to end up, finishing the horns. We all hoped it would finish in the horns, but unfortunately, life isn't so kind sometimes.
no, you have to look at the stats and you compare it to any other wide receivers. He wasn't, again, if he was in the top 10, top 15, even top 20 wide receivers for this past season, he probably potentially could still be in horns. But the fact that he has slid kind of really into now, maybe in the top 50 of wide receivers, like
Mhm.
that's where you're in that 30 range, you're really starting to um, you're really starting to feel that. And if you want to win championships, so you have Stafford, you have a limited window. One team of 32 every year wins. You are never guaranteed anything. So you
Mhm.
have to put all the chips on the table and you have to put your best foot forward. And as much as we all love Cooper Cup, I love Cooper Cup.
Mhm.
He
I
has to be moved off the chessboard at this time.
100%. I would say any Rams fan, if you're struggling with Cooper, you know, being released from the team, not being a part of the LA Rams anymore, I empathize with you. I've got the man's jersey. I've got his 18s. I've got his 10s. Uh, but I would just ask you, like, let's look at it objectively.
Yeah.
If you take out his 2021 season, take away the entire 2021 season, if that was any other receiver in the NFL, would you still be interested in keeping Cooper Cup? Because I think a lot of us are still living in 2021, and that's how we
Oh yeah.
remember Cooper Cup, and we just refuse to see what he's been on the field since then.
I think he's been Cooper clutch. I do think that he has been. But again, when you have the emergence of Puka Nakua, you have someone younger, someone who was mentored by him. I will say, if Cooper Cup, if 2021 didn't have that season, we would not. I don't believe we would have Puka Nakua the way we are if we
Oh,
didn't have Cooper
100%.
Cup.
100%. Puka
Like,
Nakua, Puka's not Puka without Cooper Cup.
yeah, I mean, he could do a lot, but I think Cooper Cup taught him a lot and
Hmm.
helped him develop his game much quicker than anybody else, I think, really anticipated.
100%.
So, I'm sure we'll do more about Cooper Cup once he's officially gone from the team. But really, the last bit of news, really for this week, is Puka deciding that he is going to give his number away to Davante Adams so that he could become so that Davante Adams can be 17 and Puka can go to 12. Soup. What are your thoughts?
I am excited.
Did you
If
think it
y'all,
was going to be this easy?
yeah, I did. I did. I was just chatting it up on Twitter with a friend, and I was saying, people don't remember, but when Puka came in his rookie year, he wanted the number 12. He couldn't have it. And he
Yep.
was saying how special that number was to him and his family and what it meant to wear the number 12. Um, I honestly thought that after we had moved off of Van Jefferson, I thought for sure like this last season he would come out as 12. And I think maybe that was the intent, is for him to come out as 12 this last season. But then AD gave him the number 17 chain, and he's like, Aaron Donald gave me the 17 chain. I think I got to stay number 17. So I think
Well,
this just presented him an opportunity to do something that he was going to plan on doing any kind of way. And I think it also for him represents the beginning of a new chapter. I think McVay, Les Snead have sat down with him and explained to him the offseason, because I don't think they surprised him with like, oh, this Cooper Cup thing. It's like, I think they talked to him about what was going on. And both of them have been very vocal in their interviews about, hey, we're looking at Puka to lead us in that wide receiver room. So I think him coming out with the new number, the number 12, right? Like, I think it's the beginning of a new chapter. And I think he even said like that number is like armor to him. So I'm excited to see Puka's best football. And just like when we went from Cooper Cup 18 to 10, man, 18 was cool, 10 was special.
I think for this one, I think it did give him the opportunity, but in the financial way, because you have to remember that these guys have to pay for those jerseys if they want to change the numbers. It's the side of the business that most people don't know. If you want to change your numbers, you have to buy back all that stock. Puka, after his rookie year, stock skyrocketed.
Mhm.
Everyone wanted a Puka jersey. I have 3 Puka jerseys in my house, 1 for me and 2 for my kids. Like, just thinking that
I saw
now
your tweet.
I'm annoyed because I have 2 for my kids, and my youngest 2 have Cooper Cup jerseys that they're getting too small for anyways, and so like now I feel like I have to buy all new jerseys for everybody because now we don't have any real current numbered players on the team outside of my Stafford jersey. But I'm jinxed about that. I could talk about that differently, um, but yeah. So I think this was an incentive. I do think that Devontae probably gave him a little bonus to maybe help keep that, because again, there's still that buyback period of having to buy back unused uh, jerseys and merchandise,
Slid
which
him
if
a
you
cool
haven't
2 million.
seen, hey, maybe lifetime supply of Taco Bell. Come
Hey,
over whenever you want. You can eat all the Taco Bell you want. Um, but yeah, if you want a 17 Puka jersey, they're on sale right now, like 40% off or something crazy like that. So you could get those pretty cheap. Um, you can pre-order the 12 jerseys. I think I'm going to wait.
I'm waiting.
I do think that the Rams are going to come out with a different jersey this year. And so what better way to cement, the future of the Rams and the future of Puka Nakua, especially as 12, is to get the new style jersey.
Get me some more players with the limited series. I'm tired of all the just game jerseys for every player. I want limited series. Give me Jared Verse, give me Kobe Turner, give me Byron Young, give me all the names that we have, all the young names. Puka, Kyron, all of them. Devontae better get a limited, because I'm buying that jersey.
I don't know. I'm kind of getting burnt on jerseys these days. It feels like, but we'll see how it goes.
I'm going to
I
be
do have.
burning up in
I,
some jerseys.
I will say that I did make a purchase over the last couple of weeks, and I got a signed Kevin Dotson jersey.
Oh yeah.
Um, and so it's supposed to be here tomorrow. I'm really excited about it just because I really do love some Kevin Dotson. I think he's an awesome player, and yeah, I'm so pumped. But yeah, for as far as the 12 goes, I don't know what I want a 12, but I'm probably going to wait to at least see what the new jerseys look like and make a decision from there.
This is the moment I've been waiting for. I don't have any of our new players yet. Um, So I have been waiting for numbers. I kind of wanted to hold off on Verse because I thought for sure I was like Verse is going to number 5 as soon as Tutu's gone. Verse is going to number 5, but Tutu's back, so I'm probably going to get a Verse 8, and then who knows? He'll probably end up changing it to 5 at some point once that number becomes available. I got to
Hey,
get Braden Fisk. I got to get Kobe Turner. I got to get Byron. I got to get everybody now. I'm excited to
I,
go buy some more jerseys.
I know. I love 5. 5 is my own personal jersey. I got Tutu to sign my 5 jersey.
Oh,
So
sick.
I'm really mad that I didn't get Jalen Ramsey to sign it too, because it'd be just really cool to get everyone's, who is 5 to sign that jersey. Um, but yeah, super excited to see what happens. I mean, this Rams team just makes me so excited to you know do all the digging, do all the research, and really get to talk to you and talk to Ashton about all these different crazy scenarios that finally can happen now that it seems like we're starting to make some big moves.
100%. This is honestly, this is my favorite time of year. Is free agency frenzy, lots of trades, lots of movements leading up into the draft. It's dream selling season, right? Like right now, you're conceptualizing in your head what this team could look like and what potentially could we achieve with this team, right? If you ask dang near any fan that has any amount of hope in their franchise, uh, certain franchises excluded from this conversation, everybody right now today would probably tell you, hey, we're winning the Super Bowl. And I feel it strongly, just like I do every single year. We won't know how those feelings will change until week 1 and we see what it looks like. But man, I'm just excited with what we've done so far. Part of me doesn't think that we're done yet. I'm still waiting for the big splash trade. Don't know when it's going to happen. I'm just waiting for the big splash trade. Don't know what position it's going to be, but I'm on the lookout for it. Bring me a
Yeah,
corner.
yeah. I mean, the corner is something that I think the Rams have always looked at. They've always looked to try to bring in a veteran corner to help out that area. I definitely see that in play. I do see that we might do something with the tight end role. Again, still keeping Higbee because I think he's a
Yeah.
centerpiece, but either going out and getting someone in that top echelon of tight ends in the draft, or possibly looking for a deal with the Raiders with Mayer over there. Because again, you can't have too many tight ends apparently in Las Vegas, so you might as well trade us one of your good ones.
Listen, just re-sign Akello. Miss me with all the Akello hate. Our secondary improved so much when he came in this past
100%.
season. I think he deserves a contract. And I don't know what we have to do, but call Green Bay and bring me Jair.
Yeah, I mean, Sean McVay has some relations up there. He can talk around and
Mike, call your
out.
brother. Tell him send us Jair.
Yep, yep. Anything else you want to talk about while you're on? Is there anything else you want to plug or?
Nothing to plug at the moment. I'm excited. At the beginning of the football season, there will be something new to plug. But man, again, just thankful for the opportunity for you, Zach, for Ashton. He's not here just to come on and talk ball with you guys and talking with the Rams. This is fun for me. I love doing it. Can't wait to see what our team does this year. Exciting time to be a Rams fan.
Oh, 100%. And we're glad to have you on. You're going to be more, we got you to be more regular on our podcast. So we're excited to continue to have you on board and to get your feedback and your good commentary. It's always great. Always great.
Awesome. Appreciate you, man.
One day, I think we're going to have to like create a, an anime podcast or something. And we
Listen, don't get me started.
We just might we'll make an enterprise over here with different podcasts, but yeah, for a different day. All right, but I think we are going to wrap it up with this episode of the East Coast Rams podcast. Thank you everyone who watched us live, chatted with us within YouTube live chat. You can find us youtube.com/East Coast Rams. Please make sure you like and follow us. It means the world to us. You can also find us on X at East Coast Rams. You can find us on Threads and Instagram, East Coast Rams Pod, and we're on Blue Sky as well. I am Zach at Zach Mayer on X. You can find Soup there below. And yeah, we will see you guys next time.